Have you ever laid awake at 2 a.m. staring at the ceiling, wondering if you're the only one stressing about money? You scroll through Instagram or TikTok, and everyone else seems to be driving brand new Teslas, vacationing in Cabo, and buying huge houses. It feels like everyone else got a financial playbook that you somehow missed. But what if I told you that the reality behind those social media posts is entirely different? What if the average person you're comparing yourself to is actually flat broke? Welcome to the channel. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the actual financial reality of the average person. I'm going to share some statistics with you today that are going to absolutely blow your mind. Some of these numbers might give you a serious wake-up call, but others might actually make you breathe a massive sigh of relief and realize, hey, I'm actually doing okay. We are going to dive deep. We'll look at income, debt, net worth, and retirement. By the end of this video, you will have a crystal clear picture of exactly where you stand compared to everyone else. And more importantly, I'm going to give you the exact blueprint on how to beat the average. Let's start with a simple question. What does average even look like? Because in fitness, if you want to run a marathon, you need to know what a good mile pace is. In school, you need to know the grading curve. Money works the exact same way. Just talk about where that money goes. The average American household spends about $5,577 every single month. That's over $67,000 a year in spending. So if your household is bringing in less than $67,000 after taxes, you are officially living beyond your means. Where's it all going? First, housing. The average household drops about $1,885 a month on a mortgage or rent. And if you live in New York, LA, or Miami, you're probably laughing right now because $1,800 barely gets you a studio apartment. Next is transportation at around $913 a month and food at $691 a month. When you add just the basic survival costs, housing, cars, and groceries, you are already bleeding cash. But here is the most terrifying statistic of this entire video. Please write this down. The average American household is carrying over $9,000 in credit card debt. Not mortgage debt, not student loans, $9,000 in high-interest, toxic credit card debt. Let's put that into perspective. The average credit card interest rate right now is hovering around 20% to 25%. If you're carrying a $9,000 balance at 20% interest, you are throwing away $1,800 a year just for the privilege of being in debt. That's nearly $2,000 evaporating into thin air to make the big banks richer, all for clothes you don't wear anymore, dinners you barely remember, and impulse buys that are collecting dust in your garage. If you want to win with money, this is step one. Pay off the plastic. You cannot outinvest a 25% interest rate, period. Net worth and the 6% savings rate. Now we move to the ultimate financial scorecard, net worth. Net worth is simple. Take everything you own, your house, your cash, your 401k, and subtract everything you owe, your mortgage, credit cards, student loans. What's left is your net worth. Let's look at the medians by age according to the Federal Reserve. Under 35 years old, less than $14,000. Ages 35 to 44, $91,000. Ages 45 to 54, $168,000. Ages 55 to 64, $212,000. If you are 30 years old and have $15,000 to your name, you are technically beating the average. But is average actually good? No. Average means you are financially fragile. And here's why. The average American only saves 6% of their take-home pay. 6%. If you bring home $4,000 a month and only save 6%, you're putting away $240. But wait. That $240 has to fund your emergency fund, your next car down payment, your house repairs, and your retirement. It is mathematically impossible to build real generational wealth saving 6% of an average income. Financial experts recommend saving 15 to 20% minimum just for retirement. This is the exact reason why everyone looks rich but is actually broke. They're spending 94% of what they make to look good today, sacrificing their financial security for tomorrow. The harsh reality of retirement. This brings us to the saddest part of our deep dive today: retirement. When do you think the average person stops working? The actual average retirement age in America is 61. That sounds great, right? Retiring in your early 60s to play golf and travel. But there's a massive catch. The median retirement balance for all Americans is just $65,000. Even worse, 25% of Americans have exactly $0 saved for retirement. 1 in 4 people you walk past on the street has nothing. Zero. Let's look at the folks who do have money saved. By age 65, the median retirement balance is about $88,000. Let's apply the famous 4% withdrawal rule. If you retire with $88,000, you can safely withdraw about $3,500 a year. That is less than $300 a month. Could you survive on $300 a month? Even with a paid-off house, $300 doesn't even cover groceries and utilities, let alone health care. But what about Social Security, you might ask? The average Social Security check is about $1,550 a month, or $18,600 a year. If you combine that with your $300 from your 401k, you are trying to survive your golden years on barely $22,000 a year. You spend 40 years of your life commuting, dealing with annoying bosses, and working 40 hours a week, only to retire on poverty wages. That is the reality of the average American. It's not a pretty picture. How to beat the average. Action plan. Take a deep breath. I know those numbers were heavy. If those statistics hit a little too close to home, do not panic. The fact that you are sitting here watching a video on personal finance means you are already taking steps to break out of the average. The beauty of knowing how bad the average is that it sets the bar incredibly low. Beating the average is not about winning the lottery, inheriting a trust fund, or starting a billion-dollar tech company. It requires just a few simple, boring, but highly effective lifestyle changes. Here is your 3-step action plan to crush the average. Eradicate consumer debt. If you have credit card debt, treat it like your hair is on fire. Stop eating out, stop buying clothes, and throw every spare dollar at that 20% interest rate until it is gone. Boost your savings rate. You cannot build wealth on 6%. You need to get your savings rate to 15% or 20%. Look at your top 3 expenses: housing, transportation, and food. Can you drive a cheaper used car? Can you meal prep instead of buying $15 lunches? Lower your overhead and invest the difference. Invest consistently. Don't just leave your money in a checking account where inflation eats it alive. Put it into low-cost S&P 500 index funds. Max out your Roth IRA and take advantage of your employer's 401k match. Time in the market is your best friend. The gap between what people say they want and what they actually do is massive. Everyone wants financial freedom, but the average person behaves in a way that guarantees financial stress. You deserve better than retiring at 61 with $88,000 and praying Social Security doesn't run out. You deserve peace of mind. Use these statistics as fuel. Let them motivate you to build a life where money is a tool for freedom, not a source of anxiety. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If this video opens your eyes, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Drop a comment below and let me know which of these stats shocked you the most. I'll see you in the next video. Keep building that wealth.